the interview.
Thomas, your
Aww.
yes, your cat can be a part of the interview, and I will make a joke about it. All right, I'm gonna hit the record button.
I don't have
Alright.
I don't have my camera on, or else Marty is somewhere. I think on his box sleeping.
I am completely alone in my room. I locked myself away. All right, here we go.
There's a Jack White song about that
Oh, really? Okay.
called
Here we go.
Alone in My Room. Check it out.
Alone in my room. All right, let's take a look. All right,
Yep.
here we go.
Nice.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to the Hidden in Plain Sight podcast, where we discuss the ideas that are hidden in plain sight. Those ideas being child abuse, child neglect, and exploitation. I am Colin Silver, your host, and joining me is Faceless Aces, as well as our guest today, who is also a fellow YouTuber, Jenn Marie.
Hi. I don't have my camera on, but hi.
So Ace will not have their camera on. Jenn and I will. So you're probably just gonna see a square of Ace's contact photo or profile picture if you're watching this on YouTube. But if you're not watching this on YouTube, you're just hearing our voices, and we're just gonna get things started. So Jenn, do you want to introduce yourself before we get things rolling?
Sure. My name is Jenn Marie Newton, actually, and I am a survivor of the troubled teen industry. I attended 3 different programs between the ages of 14 and 18. And also, yeah, I'm also a unicorn.
Okay. Unicorns are good. Unicorns are good. So, the way these interviews work, and for those of you who watched my interview with Pierre, which, let's face it, over 1,000 of you did, which very much surprised me. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of talk through the experience and what it looked like for that, and what we can do to help. So the first thing I would like to ask is, how did this situation come to pass in the first place?
Well, that is a complicated question, but honestly, it, it started at a really young age. Um, you know, I'm 53 years old. I was born in 1970. My parents were very young. Um, there was a level of neglect in my childhood, but I tend to call it more towards just being ignored. And my parents were divorced, and my dad ended up getting custody of me, and I lived with me and my grandma. It was very difficult to get attention, and I don't know how much the two of you know, but if you're not being paid attention to by anybody, and then say you get in trouble, and you get attention, and you're
Right.
like, oh, okay. So this started this sort of getting in trouble sort of thing. And I also grew up in the 70s and 80s when
Mhm.
the medical association and the psychiatric association did not believe that girls could have ADD, or what they now call
Aww.
ADHD. It started as ADD. I was diagnosed in 1994 when they finally did start to consider girls as as being that way. But I had all the signs. By 3rd grade, I was in special ed. Um,
Okay.
so by the time I was 14, my dad was getting ready to go through a divorce with his second wife. I had started therapy at 11, been having troubles, and we
Oh,
got hooked up with this counselor. Yeah, we got hooked up with this lady counselor who, as it turns out, was one of those counselors that was getting paid under the table by uh, a troubled teen hospital called Fairview Deaconess Hospital in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
wow.
It was downtown Minneapolis. I remember very specifically. And the way that they sold it to me was that it was like going to a resort.
Oh.
All the problems I'm having at my mom's house, at my dad's house, my grand, like everything. Just you can get away. She had this crazy great big brochure with a pool in it and
Oh
everything.
wow. Okay.
She told my
Ooh.
dad the same thing. Yeah, she told
Oh,
my dad the same thing. So, I mean, obviously, to a 14-year-old girl who just was running away all the time and not not wanting to ever be home, I was like, okay, cool. Prince lives in Minneapolis, like I'm gonna go to a resort in Minneapolis.
now,
Well, it was a drug rehab. I did not have a drug problem.
some baseline questions. First of all, Prince lived in Minneapolis. I find that hilarious. Your parents were young. How old were they when they had you, if you know the exact age?
My dad was 22 and my mom was 2 weeks shy of 21.
Oh.
Oh, all right, okay. That is
Yeah.
surprisingly young. Uh,
Well, it was Vietnam, and I was born
Oh
on an army
yeah.
base during the war. You know, everybody thought
yeah.
they were all gonna go, but have to
So
die.
a 20, almost 21-year-old and a 22-year-old probably don't have the best experience or like the best like mindset to try to raise a child. So I understand where that whole thing came from.
Right. And now it's also important to keep in mind in my case, and I'm sure a lot of cases, is generational trauma.
Yeah.
Each of my parents had their own generational trauma with their parents, and so on and so on and so on.
Now the question I have, do you have any specific memories of your parents fighting?
Each other?
Yes, each other.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Now they split up. My dad left when I was 5. The divorce was finalized by the time I was 7.
okay.
But when they were still together, yes, yeah, I was.
Oh.
I remember a lot of fightings over a lot of marriages between the two of us. So
Oh, so and your dad remarried
three
to
more.
three more.
Oh
Oh my.
wow.
Okay. Uh, three more times. Three more times remarried. So I would imagine that puts a strain on a child. I'm not a mental health expert myself, but I've seen what kind of like what this kind of stuff can do to a child's like brain, and how like them not focusing on the child or not giving them the amount of attention they need at that age can lead to really really psychologically scarring and really just
Troubled home
broken.
life leaves a troubled teen.
Yes, troubled life leads to troubled teen. And also, folks, excuse the cat in the background. If you see that, that is
That's
Jen's
Tom.
cat.
He
Like
just wants
attention.
to put his own opinions on it.
He's gonna talk.
He's my emotional support slash annoying.
That's so real.
All right. So,
Here.
moving back on topic, you saw this pamphlet or whatever it was, and a therapist. It was like a kind of like a. Now we're gonna bring this up a lot, I think, throughout this podcast, like in general, like what like Dr. Phil and that kind of crap.
Oh.
Don't even
No,
bring up
I can
Dr.
do it,
Phil.
but let's get through the story first
Yes.
before I go off on Dr. Phil.
Yeah,
Oh, we have a lot
don't
to say about
even.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
Dr.
Oh,
Phil
there he goes.
was accountable for his actions. Oh, sorry about the cross view comment.
It's okay. All
The only
right,
way to
so
really know how to get rid of them is just throw them off to
yeah.
death.
Nah, it's cats. So you were given the pamphlet at
Mhm.
age 14. You started working with this therapist at 11. At age 14, you have.
Not this. I started with a therapist, psychiatrist at 11. This was a
Okay.
new lady, and I felt
Wait.
really trusting of her, which was a mistake.
Ooh.
Yep, as we will soon, unfortunately, learn.
Especially in what the what 80s?
Yeah, this was
19.
1985.
Ooh.
Spring of 1985.
1985, and the pamphlet was kind of like a, ooh, come and join this this thing, but it was a drug rehabilitation center, as you.
Yeah, chemical dependency program
Oh my
Ooh.
lord!
back in the
So,
80s. Chemical dependency program.
And you didn't have a drug addiction.
I did not have a drug addiction. No, but this was the answer uh, for all of my problems. They were like, they can help you with your emotional issues, with your family issues. You know, you've had some run-ins. Smoke. I don't know what I could say, but like smoking some weed, and
this video.
one time it was laced with something. I don't know what. I smoked cigarettes, and I maybe drank 3 or 4 times when I went. But I was a 14-year-old virgin who really didn't know anything about drugs.
And that wasn't like much out of the ordinary for especially like a kid of that age.
You
No,
watch like
no.
you watch stuff from like the pop culture of that era, and you see a lot of
Mhm.
the movies that are representing the bad boys, the ones that wear the leather jackets, the ones that have the mullet,
Oh, yeah.
that are on motorcycles and smoking. I guess all of that was just representative of the time, because some of that stuff can actually be true. I don't know how I can
Uh,
say that. I am not a fan of
I
that.
had my own John Bender. I'm just saying.
Okay, well,
I did. I met him at my final program, and it took me 30 years to shake him entirely. So.
Oh.
so yeah, you were smoking at that time.
Yeah.
A lot of kids were. I don't
Mhm.
blame you particularly for that.
I
So
was smoking cigarettes in the womb, sweetie.
well,
Thank you
again,
for
that all
the
that
And
all,
in, and in,
follow.
and, and in enclosed cars with the windows closed.
Peaceful
which
I
is
was little.
career. Oh my
super,
god,
which is
thank you so
super a
much.
not great thing. I took the driver's ed course, and that is like a really big no-no.
Hmm.
Oof.
But anyways, this seemed like an escape to you reading this pamphlet.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, an escape was the ultimate gift because
You got
in the fight or flight world,
Mm.
I was a flighter. Since January 7th, 2023, I have become a fighter.
Oh,
We cannot
Look
be
at,
proud of you for that.
congrats.
thank you. I'm excited to tell you what happened.
I'm excited to hear it. All right. So you ran from the situation. What's your first impression when you finally enter this establishment?
Yeah, this is a mistake. Take me home,
Oh.
please. Yeah.
Oh, so like almost instantaneously, you're just like something's off.
Well, we pulled up to that hospital. I was like, Dad, this is hospital. He's like, it is a hospital.
Did it look anything like the
We went in.
pictures?
We went in. Huh?
Did it look
Didn't look
anything like the pictures?
No, no,
Oh.
no. It was a straight up
con
hospital.
artists.
Oh yeah, big time. I
Oh
mean, yeah,
Lord.
I'm lucky that they didn't hire a team to come take me out.
Yeah.
'Cause I would have picked the hard way. I know me, and I would have picked the hard way to be taken out of my home. I think that the only way that could have happened was for them it, uh, to convince my dad that it was the one thing to do to save my life. But it was really the one thing they could do to destroy my life
Mm.
for
Yeah.
almost 40 years. Almost 40 years.
Almost. Lord. So you pull up to this hospital, and you say, I can't be here.
No,
I
this is
can't.
this is wrong. Yep, this is wrong.
Something
This is
is
not
seriously
what I signed up
off.
for. Yep, yep. And I gotta. It's too late now. We're here.
Oh God.
Can I ask if you know how much did the program cost for you to stay there?
Um, I don't know. My dad and I have only really been talking about this for the last year, more in depth.
Mm.
And he's 75 now, so his uh his memory's never been good. My dad has a pretty shoddy memory,
I know how that feels.
but he was a Teamster truck driver, and he had great, like, the top of the line Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. We
Oh.
were not wealthy. We were a blue collar working class family in Detroit, and yeah, so it was all about the fact that he had good insurance. I
Hmm.
We had problems, and what a great kid to cherry pick and send away.
Yeah.
Christ.
Hmm.
Well, now that I know that your first impressions were, holy crap, I'm screwed, that pretty much sets the tone for what the rest of this is going to entail. So, again, guys, viewer discretion is advised, or listening discretion is advised. You guys read my the description. You know that this is not really a subject that is particularly joyful. So just if you're uncomfortable with any of the topics we're about to discuss, please turn it off right now. But if you're sticking with us, well, here we go. So
Put on your seatbelts.
fasten your seatbelts. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. So
Yeah.
too late. We're already there. What happens next?
All right. So we're there. They give us the tour, and I and my dad is never has been an affectionate guy. That's not something that was in our family. Um, it wasn't. We were not affectionate, like physically affectionate. But I'm like hanging on to my dad. It's like, dad, it's so dad. And he's like getting angry at me. Um, I have something in me, had something in me that just seemed to directly go to his biggest nerve and set him off, Um, so there was a little spat there, and they explained everything to me that this is the valuation unit on the fifth floor. I'm going to be, they give me my gown and my socks, and they show me to my room and uh, tell me to say goodbye to my dad, and it was it was uh, it was tearful, but I had to. They had group going on that I immediately had to go in. By the way, in my regular clothes, I immediately had to go into the group in my first there, and I didn't want them to see me cry, so I just kind of was like, "Okay, you're leaving me here," and he's like, "Excuse me, sorry," and he's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Right, okay." So I just kind of shook it off and I turned around and I went into the room and I sat down and I could picture the room and door where I'm sitting right now, the door that I walked in was behind me and I sat in a chair like right here. And there's a whole circle. The very first day I get caught in screen therapy session.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that
well,
wasn't and that wasn't even our only daily group, right?
Yeah.
The circle, which is the very I found a video actually today from Alon School, and it was the first video I ever saw showing people what they called it a haircut there, where everybody in the room just screams the worst stuff at you.
Yeah. I hear they have very different names across different facilities.
Mhm. Yeah, and it all comes from Synanon and the game.
Yeah.
Synanon was the first rehab. Scientology ripped them off with their Narcanon rehab, and then that from there it just but they had a thing called the game, and the game was literally messing with your mind so badly that they take basic training in the armed services to a whole other level. They break the kids down, but the problem is that they don't do anything to build them back up.
Yeah.
They just break them down and then set them loose.
I don't know if using this term really like affects anything, but I could see this as a form of malpractice.
Oh,
There,
definitely.
this is
A hundred
definitely
percent.
a form of malpractice. I've seen all over the freaking internet at this point doctors and psychological experts abusing their power just to get, just to have that, and it doesn't end well. It never ends well nowadays because like
No.
see all these people, the patients would record, they would sneak in a camera, or they'd sneak in like an audio recording, and then that'll be posted on the internet. Then I would imagine it's a lot more difficult because they're just gonna be like, ah, you're kids.
That's the whole thing, yeah.
That's the part that's freaking me out. The thing that like really scares me about this is that they could get away with it
The
then.
fact they are getting away with it still.
They're
They're
still
still getting away with it, but it was a lot easier before,
Yeah.
now it's
unless you're in
harder.
Utah.
Now it's harder because the advent of the internet and things. The internet is forever, as everyone says, because things are never silent on the internet.
No, no. And you know what's crazy is that I legitimately, and I've actually taken some flack from people about this, and I don't know why, but hurt people. So that's all I can really say to that.
Yeah.
I've gotten grief about from survivors and just from random people. The internet's been around since the 90s. How did you just figure out last year that there was such a thing as the troubled teen industry and that there was a group of survivors that were speaking out? Because I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know it was an industry. I didn't know that they
They
were destroying
isolate you.
thousands of lives. You know, if I would have known what to put in the search, I would have. I searched the hospital I went to. I searched the long term treatment center that I was sent to uh, because I failed the hospital program. We should probably finish the hospital program before I get all over the place, right?
We'll get to the whole like where
Yeah,
you are now in
yeah,
just a
yep, yep,
little. So right now the context is I'm picturing this in my head too. It's just a
Yeah.
bunch of kids wearing hospital garb, and
mhm.
the doctors and the assistants and the nurses are just the worst kind of people, and they're just awful human beings. That's what
Not
I'm.
a single nice staff member, not a single one.
Oh my lord.
Nope.
Was there? Did you make? How old were the kids? How old were the other kids? Were you like where on that age line did you fall into?
The low end.
Okay.
There was one girl and one other girl and one boy that were 14. The rest of them were 15 to 17.
Ah.
Okay. So you were on the younger side.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So
Yep.
Oh.
I imagine it'd be much harsher, especially to see all these older peers just
Mhm.
immediately.
It was overwhelming in that these things that they were talking about were things that didn't I didn't even experience. It's not like I didn't know stuff happened. I was I was a pretty street smart kid because was always leaving home, but I didn't know about, all of these drugs and, the fact I mean, I just being around people that had done all of these things, all the drugs and sexual activity and abortions and like just, I mean, the amount of crazy things that were happening in these kids' lives to me at that point, like I did not have a shining childhood, but I was naive in a few ways, and one of the ways was the drug world and the wild child. You know, being a
Mm.
troubled kid doesn't mean that you're necessarily a wild child.
Yeah.
No.
What was your first reaction to all these kids that you didn't even know? This is like your first time meeting them.
Hmm.
First 2 days in
Yeah,
this
I
story.
I I tried to stay silent, and they refused to. But the other staff, the staff, the other residents weren't allowed to let me stay silent. Like they had to push me and goad me and ask me questions and call me a liar and say I'm in denial and
Oh.
from the very first meeting on the very first day, I was adamantly telling these people I don't have a drug problem. I don't. I don't abuse drugs. I've done some stuff here and there. I had one bad experience. You know, I just don't think that I don't belong here. And I was starting to really lose it
As
because,
one would in
Yeah.
a situation
right.
like this.
I mean, seriously, because they're telling you that you have a drug problem and you're like, no, no.
Yeah.
So, I continued to fight all the way through until I failed and it sent me to another place. But just after a while, after a few days of listening to everybody, so I started to lie just to get them off my back. Like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I tried blow, I had an abortion, yeah, I've done all this stuff. Like I'm just like a little liar over here because I just want people to not be mean to me. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole reason that I wanted to get away from home.
That is, I can speak from personal experience here. I wasn't obviously in the situation you were, but I did have to like pretend to be somebody else to try to fit in at one point in my
Yeah.
life.
Which is so
It
interesting because you think in such a place that aims to quote unquote rehabilitate you that
rehabilitated.
you that they try to get you to not lie and yet they push you into lying for all the wrong reasons.
I really think that a true professional would be able to know when a kid doesn't have a problem.
Absolutely.
I just,
And
I
that
mean,
is, and that's all down. That's all down to just knowing what you're doing with your job too.
mm,
Like I've seen a ton of professionals. Like not even. I'm not. I'm going a little broader with this. There are cops and prison guards that abuse their power just so they can feel better, just so they can have
Yeah.
the best say. It is gross. It is disturbing. Any bad thing you can possibly think of, I think those terms apply.
Yeah.
Just
It's
I've also experienced
yeah.
that with police officers as a teenager, abusing their power.
Yeah. Especially against
well,
someone like kids and like
Mhm.
minors and stuff because nobody believes them, especially over like an established adult.
exactly. Now, let's talk a little bit about the. We mentioned the kids. The kids were jerks. Yes.
I mean, yeah, they were, but most of them could tell that that I was wrongly placed there. I just, I was still pretty sweet back then. I don't think that I don't think I really got angry until I was sent to the second program. I was still like trying to make everybody happy. I was trying to have some friends so at least I could, you know, um, not be completely lonely and alone and
Yeah.
attacked at the same time. And then I think on my third day there was a boy that came in. I'm from Michigan and the hospital's in Minnesota. And there was a boy that came in from a different town called I think it was either Grand Blanc or Grand Ledge, very long time ago. But I do remember that his name was Tab because I don't know if there still is a soda called Tab, but there used to be a soda called Tab, and so I remembered it. And he actually did have a drug problem, and he came in like tripping, right?
Oh.
But he was really cute, and 14, like whatever. So he had like a little boyfriend girlfriend thing
Oh,
going on,
that's so sweet.
kiss in the closet or whatever. Like it was so innocent, but it like was some little sense of normalcy and joy.
That's
Um,
nice.
I
it is,
enjoy hearing that. That's really that's a. So there's like a tiny bit of hope in there.
uh-huh, for a few days.
Oh God,
For a few days.
for a few
So
days.
when you're in the evaluation unit, you're in there 5 to 7 days, And what they're doing is they're evaluating your this is what they say they're doing. They're evaluating your level of need and and your temperament and everything to figure out how they're going to place you, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's all garbage. What they do when it's your time to leave evaluation to go to your unit, where then you can wear regular clothes. That's one of the bonuses. You have to bust somebody out. You have to call somebody out on something. Like you so say somebody else was having a little relationship going on with Tab.
Mm.
So I'd have to be like, Josie and Tab are having a relationship. And they'd be like, okay. So then those kids hate me. But then they're like, all right, you're going to go down to your unit now.
That,
Well, I had been in a room. I've been in a room with that, multiple times by this point. It was 7 days. And by my seventh day, I had been in this situation. I had made a little group of friends. I'd been in this situation a few times. And I tried to bust myself for smoking cigarettes in the bathroom of my room by using the light bulb in the bathroom. I would just leave it on all the time, so it's really hot at night to light a cigarette. And they're like, no, that's not good enough. And then I tried to bust a couple of friends out on some goofy stuff, like stealing extra snacks or passing notes, stuff like that. And they're like, nope, not good enough. Tab's in the room. Obviously, they knew. So I had to, at the end, it was so much pressure. I just broke down and I said, fine, Tab and I are in a relationship. Are you happy? Right. And I started crying. He got really angry with me because there's not just consequences for me, there's consequences for him too. Um, but they said, okay, well, you can go down to your unit. And the first thing you do when you go down to your unit is meet the psychiatrist.
Mm.
that
And the psychiatrist had been informed about the relationship and everything. And he had dubbed me male dependent. So I had to wear a brown cardboard rectangular sign with a quarter on my neck
no,
constantly that said no male contact.
no way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
He also told my dad that my dad and I had a mutually destructive relationship, and that he should never allow me to live with him again.
Oh.
Come on, no,
On
no,
It's way more fun. There's so much.
oh
In only
no.
days, you can't believe the excitement.
Yeah. Oh gosh. On the subject of your dad, did you ever try and like talk to him about what was happening? Did they forbid contact?
They didn't. They did forbid contact in not orientation, but that first week. Valuation. Thank you. But once you're in your unit, you can make phone calls, but all the phone calls are monitored. The telephone is
Mm.
in front of the registration desk. All incoming letters and cards are read. All outgoing letters and cards are read and decided upon whether or not they will be sent.
Oh, so they're
Yeah,
like,
it's like in prison.
Yeah.
oh my god.
You
Oh,
get to wear regular clothes and
yeah, you get to wear your normal clothes. The
sleep
hospital
on a thicker mattress.
the hospital gown thing kind of disturbed me because I just think of like all these like movies and TV shows where you like see kids that are like trapped inside of mental wards like that.
It's very dehumanizing.
Ugh.
I was very triggered by that last season of Stranger Things.
Yes, yes, I was thinking of the Stranger Things. I wanted to ask you about that like eventually because that was like a big part of that last season.
You guys might need to fill me in on this. I have never watched Stranger Things.
So spoilers to anybody listening to this. And has it
The horrified look on Jen's face.
been like 8 years? You should watch it at this point.
Sweetie, you have homework.
So in the story of Strange, so the one of the main characters has superpowers, and there are a bunch of these scientists that are trying to run tests on her. So they keep her and a bunch of other kids who also have superpowers inside this science lab where they like run tests on them and all that. So I'm thinking that's what I'm picturing in my.
But underground, underneath the building, underground.
Yeah.
The kids are
Thank you
that
for the
powerful.
follow, Eternal.
That's a whole like Cold War
We're doing
BS
an
thing.
interview
God, the 80s are
on
weird.
Jen's experience
You don't have to
as
tell
a
me
child
I
abuse
lived in the 80s.
survivor and the
So did my
Hamilton
parents.
industry.
There you
so
go.
viewer discretion advised.
All
There's
right,
some
so
very
yeah,
triggering
so you
stuff.
were able to wear normal clothes, but you had to like be like out, you had to like rat people out just like
Just for basic human privileges.
that's
Just another
so
way to degrade you and
Yeah.
divide you.
nasty. It's just so disgusting. I'm not really. I didn't express my anger with a lot of the other things in the previous episode. But this is actually making my blood.
Yeah.
I am terrified and I am frustrated at
It's
how.
horrifying how this is still existing
Oh God.
currently.
Yeah, it's maddening. I have a little tear and I'm sweating, but
Uh,
I'm good.
you take all the time you need. If you need a moment, then we will allow that.
No, I've been building up for this. I've been talking to my therapist about this. And no, this is healthy. This is something that I want. I didn't survive to my 50s without a clue for other younger people to go through what I did and not have any idea that this industry exists,
Yeah.
right? I don't want kids that are just coming out or kids that might be going in or people in their 20s that are out and they're still asking questions. I want to be I want to be a light. I want to be a light that shines on them that they can heal sooner. It's possible to heal. I mean, obviously, none of us who've ever been through this is going to be the same. They broke us, but they didn't completely destroy us. That was their mistake. Because when you break kids that already have issues, you're you're going to give them a determination not only to survive, but when given the opportunity, fight back and win.
Please ignore the background noises, ladies and gentlemen, and our
That's
non-binary.
okay. I think that my TV's on too. Accidentally, I left the football
Sorry,
game.
it's my cat trying to eat the food, as cats do. Sorry, but that was very inspirational. I'm sorry, that was such a bad way to end.
I don't. I'm sorry too. Yeah, that was that man that cut me deep, cut me real deep.
It's been what's kept me alive since my first day at the first place. Yeah, yeah. I never even considered. So many therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists uh, find me to be such an interesting case study. My current therapist, and have had a couple others call me a unicorn because I've never been married. I don't have a bunch of kids. I don't have a jail record. I just spent 36 hours in jail one time for trespassing by sitting in a parking lot in my 40s in Daytona Beach, Florida. But I've never like done any adult jail time.
Florida,
I
so
was, I was gonna say the same thing.
it's Florida.
Florida's gonna Florida, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're Angelinos, so like it's
I lived in Los Angeles for quite a while.
all right. So back to the we just
Apartments at Los Feliz Boulevard and Los Feliz in Vermont.
okay.
On it.
Glad that you have some Angelino experience in you because I've been here my whole life. Right? Sorry for going on that tangent.
Okay.
Where were we?
There's no sorry here.
Okay.
We were still discussing
Yeah.
my first program.
You wore the sign. You wore the sign, and you weren't allowed contact with your father. And they were monitoring you whenever you were on the phone, or writing letters, or all that. You know that the basic stuff that you're supposed to do if you're in this situation. Like you should have contact with those around you. Who else are you
Yeah.
supposed to call? Did you have any? Your father had custody of you,
Yeah. My
and
mother was 100% against it, but she had no say. So
okay.
I could call my mom, but my phone calls with my mom were very short. Another thing that I have to ask my dad is if they ask for our contact to be restricted or if that was something that the hospital decided. I'm still not 100% sure. Um, there are unfortunately probably always going to be holes in this for me, you know,
I
memories I can't get back or whatever. But my mom was very much there for me, and that's who I would call and cry to. She was completely helpless. She had a 1-year-old daughter also,
your
you know. Yeah, my little sister and different dads, but
I know, yeah.
she's my
Yeah.
sister. I don't do that half thing. I also have
Um.
I have a brother who's 18 years younger than me that my dad had when he was 40. Um, but I was able to talk to my dad and my grandma and everything, but my conversations with my dad were very strained because at the same time that they were,
Put
doing what they were doing to me, they were brainwashing him and then not believing anything I said, that I would do or say anything to get out of there, and that 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 they had convinced him, to the point where he even agreed that my behavior on my first day there was just me freaking out and wanting to just not deal with my problem. It took decades for my dad to believe that I didn't actually have a drug problem.
why did he not believe you in the first place? Was it? I
Let's
imagine.
let's just I'm gonna sum our whole relationship up in one. My dad's nickname for me was
Was what?
useless.
Oh.
Oh God, that's brutal. That is brutal.
Yep. He
Ooh.
used it into my 40s, and then I cut him out of my life for several years. And when I let him back in, I told him he was never allowed to say that word to me again, and he hasn't.
Dude.
As you should. That is horrible.
Dude. Not cool. Red flag. Whatever else you can say. Not a good move, man.
Mm-mm. No, when you're moving around in life from a place of rage because you have your own childhood trauma. He was abandoned by his father, who ended up getting remarried and having 7 more kids with his second wife. You know,
There's a
my dad didn't know how to be a dad because he didn't have a dad.
there's a recurring theme in this whole thing. There's a lot of
Dad,
marrying. There's a lot of remarrying. And yes, dad.
there's a lot of marriages. Yeah, there's a lot. Yes, my grandma was twice married and divorced way before her time.
My lord.
Uh, my grandfather, who I did not really have a relationship with, maybe 2 years total of my whole life. Um, uh, yeah, he stayed married to his second wife. Yeah, and then my dad's on his fourth marriage, and my mom's on her second, but she had a really bad relationship in between marriages. That
As
was
long as
really
they found their
really really bad. One of the reasons I ended up in the place that I ended up was situations that were happening in my parents' houses, and I had stolen this very expensive $5 bill. I didn't know that this thing was a collector's item. My dad had it in a jar in the closet, and I was like, "Oh, $5 bill," and I took it and I kept replacing it with $5 bills from his pocket from his pants. And he got really really mad, and he woke me up at like 11:30 at night, right before he was getting ready to go to work, and he's like, "Did you steal my whatever he called it? $5 bill, and I was like, yeah. He's like, well, that was worth like $5,000. He called my mom, and he's like, he called my mom, and he's like, you need to come pick up your daughter. She's gonna live with you before I kill her. And I was, okay.
Wow,
Over a $5
that's
bill.
Oh my,
yeah.
oh my lord.
Jeez.
Yeah.
God, the things
I
people do.
really wish I wouldn't have lost all of my journals in 2008 because I had fully intended on writing a memoir, but I can still try. Just it's not going to be as in depth as it could have been.
You should.
Should do that, definitely. It would
Well, I've
be
started with the YouTube channel, and that's a really big thing for me because this whole showing my face on camera thing is.
Yeah, understandable. I can't relate,
I
but
apologize.
understandable.
Oh no, I'm not even worried about the lateness of it at all. If it was noon, I would still be like just staring at myself, which I should probably just figure a way to like make myself disappear.
you can turn your camera off.
Yeah, there. And now I'm just barely in the corner. This is better
Oh,
because I'll
okay.
just stare at myself the whole time and wonder how I look.
Oh,
I mean, there's one good thing about being a faceless content creator.
Yeah, you know what? I should be. I mean, I can't be as cool as like Faceless Ace. That's a great name,
Thank
but
you.
you know,
yeah, we'll get to the whole content side of things and why us three use content creation, how we can connect on that. So
yeah.
going again, folks, I'm sorry for sidetracking like all the damn time.
Honestly, tangents are probably
Blame it
better
on my
for such
ADD,
a
baby.
subject.
Tangents.
I just always blame it on my ADD.
All right. No, that's not your fault. I'm glad that we're having this whole discussion anyways. Because it would actually make it would make the podcast seem very lively and energetic.
I've been known to be entertaining.
Good. All right. All right.
Listen, I make jokes to make up for how uncomfortable my life's been. Not for myself because
Lots
I'm
of
used
people
to it,
do.
but
Lots of
for
people
other.
use.
Yeah,
Lots of people.
I'm the Chandler Bing of Detroit.
Oh
Oh, thank you for the
yes.
follow,
And I read like
painstaking
a little bit of his
question
memoir
mark?
recent.
Thank you so much. It's really appreciated. Let's see, trying to get into
I'm not.
more.
I'm
I should
still
put
not
a
even
trigger warning.
That one's a
There's
hard
lots of
one.
very triggering things.
It is. It's painfully
Thank
hard
you.
when
This one.
they are
Here we go.
when they are when people are suffering like that and they try so hard to get healthy and don't get an opportunity to, and it just breaks my heart.
He
You know,
fought really hard.
we all deserve. Yeah, he did. He fought for decades. You know, and yeah, that's a that one's yeah, that's next topic.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm all upset about the death of a man I never met, but
It's all right. I was upset too.
he reminds me of a lot of people that I've known for a long time and a lot of my friends who've already passed. I've had a lot of friends pass. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm just gonna go grab my tissue so I'm not wiping my nose with my finger.
Okay. All right. Quick little tidbit here while that. Oh, never mind. I thought that would take a few
You can
like
tidbit. Go ahead.
tidbit. I wanted to say first things first. This is a lot. There are a lot of similarities between like you and Matthew Perry, as we're just because he also struggled with this like mental. Although he actually was, when I read his thing, he talked about like how difficult it was for him to like kind of maintain that lifestyle.
Mhm.
He, like, it's an incredible book.
It is. It
Right.
is, and I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it, especially to young people because Gen Zers are really
Not
discovering
not
Friends.
sponsored, not sponsored, but Friends lovers and the big terrible thing. Check it out. I'll leave an Amazon link in the description.
Matthew Langford Perry, may his life be a blessing.
Especially when he played Chandler Bing, aka Mrs. Shenandler Bong.
Fernandler Bong.
Shenandler Bong. All right.
Just
Now back.
remember that's how he doesn't want to only be remembered for Chandler.
Yep. Although we can't actually really decide whether or not he's remembered for just. All right.
No, we can't control that.
No, that's not up to us. All right. Now back to business. You were only allowed contact with with that. You were contacting your family, and your mom was your saving grace. But they only let you talk to her for a little bit of time, which, when you think about it, is also just kind of stingy.
Stingy is
A
one
normal-
way to put it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely one way to put it. I mean, a year earlier, he was living in Texas, and we were planning on me coming to visit for a holiday. I believe it was Thanksgiving break. And while my sister wasn't born yet, my mom was still pregnant, and she had to move down there for a job. And so she had a plan that I was going to come down there and we were going to file for a change of custody in Texas. And I think that either my dad or my stepmom caught wind of it, because the next thing I knew, I was grounded for some petty thing, and my punishment was that I couldn't go visit my mom in Texas.
I have a lot to say about your father at this very
That's
moment.
just we already know that it's very bad. Actually, how long were you in, like, pass between the troubled teen industry, like before
That's
you
a-
finally got out?
That's a question I wanted to ask too, because like
3 years.
3 years.
Between
3 years.
So when
So,
you turn
3 years total.
17?
Yeah, when I turned 17, I was done. I left the last program, which was actually it was they called it an alternative school, but it was a TPI program Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 3.
Which isn't bad.
They ran it just the same. It was levels and remedial learning, and once I was at the first program, even Fairview Deaconess, I was actually denied the opportunity to attend school in the classroom that they had, because there were boys in there, and so I spent all of my days sitting in a chair on the side of the administration desk at the front all day,
Alone.
or with anyone that was at the administration desk, but they usually
Oh.
would just ignore me.
Did you like get any educational materials during that time?
Also a
Oh
question.
no, it's just the AA stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, that figures.
But there was school going on. It was just one of my punishments was that I was not allowed to attend class.
So to all you kids out there, I don't want to go to school as a punishment. That's worse.
Yes,
Folks.
school is not a punishment. Trust
School's
me.
not a punishment. It's a gift compared to sitting in a hospital being abused by the powers that be, the medical professionals. And I don't get this uncharacteristically upset at things like this.
It's
never
it's
knew.
really triggering.
It is.
So, 3 years, 84 to 87. I'm good at math. Sorry, I don't want to make you feel old.
My body already does that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, in that case, no, I'm just kidding. 84, 84 to 87.
Actually, I'm gonna correct you. It was 85 to 88.
85 to 88, so 14.
Spring of 85 to summer of 80. Well, spring of 88.
Okay, spring of 85 to spring of 88. So you were around nearly 15 to
Yeah,
nearly.
I turned 15 at my first program.
Oh God! And they didn't celebrate your birthday, I would imagine.
Oh, we celebrated my birthday, all right. That was
Oh.
family week.
Family.
That was family week, and what
This
family week was?
sounds so much like a prison. I'm sorry for laughing. It just sounds.
It's
So,
okay.
it's
Without
so
laughter,
aggressive.
we are lost. Okay.
It's so aggressively dark.
Yeah, it is. So I'm gonna say that they probably had 6 families in this group of families. Only my dad came. My mom, he didn't allow my mom to come. Plus, she would have had a difficult time finding someone to watch the baby, anyways. And obviously, my stepmom wasn't going to come because she'd already left him, but she did send a letter with him.
Did your stepmom
um,
ever care for you, like at all, or was she like also not quite
she
person?
was, to be fair, she was only like 14 years older than me.
No.
Yeah, she
Why?
had no idea how to deal
Oh.
with me.
This is so like.
I'm not angry at her for anything. I was when I was younger, but I'm not. Sometimes I wish I've considered like looking for her, but it's been decades, so many decades now. It's only, it's not going to do any good for her. And, I mean,
Fathers
I don't need it.
never just.
My father, I have an amazing relationship with my father now.
We'll get
That's
to that. I do.
incredible.
Yeah.
What he did back
Yeah.
then, was, like, disappointing.
It is
Unlike
disappointing. To be
yours.
fair, though, with the TCI program, my dad was also victimized in this,
Yeah, the
right? I,
true the true people
uh
against it were the staff and the people in the TTI.
Yes.
Yeah, and the counselors, and we didn't have a thing that I that
Sorry
I
for
know
running
of in the
around
80s.
like
There weren't
fucking god.
We didn't have all the fancy appointed people in our schools for IED, whatever
I
the
stream like
IEDs.
this.
That's not it. Whatever.
There we
We
go.
don't have like
Unfortunately.
the special consultants in our school that like go, that's the bad kid, send
And
them away. We didn't have what they have now, right?
like, hey, bad
Fathers,
kids, don't
the
do that.
watchers, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, these were counselors that were setting parents up with, uh, you know, and it's for me, it's okay. So it seems to me like a lot of the stuff that happened on the West Coast was very 2 men come into your home in the middle of the night and take you away kind of thing. The stuff that happened in the Midwest and the East Coast seemed to be you're being pressured and lied
You're
to
brought
in
there.
order to agree to it yourself without having all the information that you need to make I mean, you can't make an informed decision when you're not getting all of the correct information. You're getting nothing
Yeah.
but lies, except that it did happen to be in Minneapolis. That's the one true thing about it.
Gaslighting at its finest.
Big time. Hmm. So family week, this is an important story to tell. Family week. So my dad's going through a divorce. His wife had already left him. His 14, about to be 15-year-old daughter is locked up in a hospital in Minneapolis. He's got to take time off of work, come to Minneapolis, do all this family blah 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 talking in front of strangers and stuff. And on my 15th birthday, which was Wednesday, was the middle of the family week, I thought, oh well, at least my dad will be with me on my birthday. Maybe they'll even let me like go out and have lunch with him. And then when I was led into the room where they held the family uh, group therapy session, my dad is an imposing man. He's 6'4", truck driver. Hard to miss him, especially for me. Um, and I walk in and there's 2 empty seats. My dad is nowhere to be found. and the facilitator lady, um, probably one of the doctors or counselors, I don't specifically know who she was, informed me that my dad had had an incident the night before and that he wasn't going to be present. And
Ugh.
another kid, like, so it was these five other kids, and they each had two parents there. So you figure 15 people, 16 people and me, right? Sounds like a lot of people. Maybe it was just, I don't know. Um, the exact number. I don't know if it was like, you know, four others or five others, but
Handful. Let's
that
just say a handful.
there was a handful of families that were in this group, so it wouldn't be too big. And one of the couples whose son was in the program with me looked at me. This is really hard to this. They looked at me and they said, "Your dad's not here today because he tried to kill. He tried to unalive himself last night because of everything you're putting him through."
Wow.
Ow.
Did the counselor say anything to me?
Nope.
Yes. What she said
Oh.
was, no, what she said was, take a seat.
Ooh.
And I'm like, wait, can I talk to my dad? And they're like, you can't talk. Just sit here and be quiet and listen. So he actually did not come back for the rest of the family week. He, I asked him last year, okay, so 38 years at this point. It took me this long to have the nerve to ask him, Dad, did you try to unalive yourself during family week in Minneapolis? And he's like, what? No. Where did you get that? I said, well, that's what the counselor and one of the kids' parents that you became friends with told me. He goes, no, not at all. He said, I absolutely had a mental breakdown. I had a complete break with reality, but no, I did not. I did not do that. That was a huge relief for me, is I carried this guilt and also this bitterness against him over that incident. Like, this is supposed to be about me. And how come even this isn't about me? Right? That's where the
Mm.
bitterness, I'm the one here living this nightmare, and you're in the hospital or you're in the hotel, and I'm just like, what? Yeah. But no, he did not try to do that. Again, it was just like all these parents believe in that tough love garbage that it does not work. It's one of the worst things that you can do to anybody that you love.
Absolutely.
Tough love is
Tough
basically
love.
turning your back on somebody.
Tough love
And
is a big
uh,
no-no in my
it's
book.
yeah,
I yeah, what like a bunch of dude like I was on the high school wrestling team one year,
Hmm.
and that whole community was just kind of like, if you're not like tough, as in not like tough as in like you're resilient, as like tough as in redneck little guy trying to pick a fight here with his truck driver mustache and the hat. You know that whole
Toxic
stereotype.
masculinity.
Yes, toxic masculinity. If you're not that, you're done.
Mhm.
Mm.
And my parents were terrified of that.
Understandably, that's probably a good idea for you to not have done that.
Which is why I had to go. In my defense, I wanted to try something new. I had no idea going into that school.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that the wrestling world, I'm not talking about professional wrestling, obviously. Um, but the wrestling world is another very dark world that people don't talk about. I had a lot of friends in the '90s that were wrestlers at University of Michigan, and I know all kinds of stuff about what wrestlers go through and what they're put through and how they're treated, and yeah, that's another kind of dangerous little sub world in itself, wrestling.
Dang, there's a lot of just really horrifying stuff that happens under the scenes that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another issue. So I've always had a really kind of complicated relationship with food, like a weird uh, combination of my dad's like insatiable appetite and then my mom eating like a bird appetite. So it's a complicated relationship with food that I have. I find it food also to be kind of a time suck, and I seem to somehow do really well on fumes. I mean, until I crash, right? It's like hours and hours and hours, a couple days without eating just because I'm doing things. But the older you get, it's a bad idea anyways. I don't advocate that for anybody, but I did that in the hospital because the food was disgusting. Like
Was it even? Was it worse than standard hospital food or
worse than standard hospital food. And from what I understand from
standard
friends
home?
of mine who have been in prison, and the 36 hours I spent in the county jail, who um, kind of si- similarly disgusting as jail food in that it's just like filler food, the kind of stuff that you see in jail or not prisons because prisons are for profit now, so their food's a little bit better. But like county jail and there's like breakfast with like soft boiled eggs and grits. Um, no, I can't eat that. So they labeled me an anorexic as well because I
Oh.
happen to be naturally very skinny. My dad was really skinny. Like I was just a naturally skinny person until I was 38 years old. And I didn't, like, then I just started to have a woman's body, but before then I looked like a prepubescent boy until I was 38 years old, which is natural.
Was your hair was short or was it like?
No, my hair is I mean, I did go through several years of having my hair short, but no, my hair was always like in high school and in my 20s, it was always long. Yeah. I came from a time where if you had short hair, you know,
God,
uh,
that's a whole can of worms. I don't want
Yeah.
to even touch.
Yeah, we're gonna get really
I
on
know,
into a tangent if we talk about that.
Yeah.
right. No, and it was whatever. My hair became part of my identity for a while because everyone's like, "Oh, you have such pretty hair." So if I get compliments about something, I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks. Okay,
Yeah,
Hey,
that's nice.
get up on
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
right."
At the risk of going on another tangent, that really reminds me of. Do you know Liz Iannelli's memoir "ICU Survivor"?
Uh, just heard about it and I need to read it.
It's really good. I read it last year for class, and it's one of my favorite books. She had a very similar story with her tie to her hair. She's a redhead, so
Mhm,
she always saw it as like a symbol of her like fight and like
mhm,
fighting against the facilities and stuff.
mhm.
I think it's really
I
really
was
cool.
I was Auburn, so I get it. I'm in the ginger family, just not quite
Oh,
as a true ginger, but I'm in the ginger family.
Okay. Well, sorry, I'm blunt. Like, never gonna,
Why are you sorry that you're blonde?
because I'm never gonna go gray, and then everyone else around me is probably going to follow suit.
You never know what's going to happen. Listen, last year I dyed the whole front of my hair, or I bleached the whole front of my hair and made it silver. So just for fun.
Which
ooh.
is cool.
Yeah, it looked really cool. I enjoyed it, but then I lost like a bunch of my hair up here broke, so I'm growing that out. I don't know. I don't get into that whole dress your age, act your age garbage
Oh
because
yeah,
I'm 14.
that's yeah.
I
Especially,
might be about to turn 54 in June, but I'm still 14.
especially now that's bull.
Hmm. It absolutely. Well, that's because It's because my generation has refused to age. We made a promise when we were kids that we were never going to grow up, and we haven't.
Yep. There you go. Peter Pan, you got your wish.
That's right. Peter Pan got his wish with Generation X.
Yeah.
Well, my mom can relate
We
to
went
that
from
a
the we
lot.
went from being like the slackers to the invisible people that nobody's mad at and everyone's afraid of, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, my parents are Gen X, but they try to be like quote like modern, and like I call them out
Oh,
on it all.
my mom dresses more modern than what I do.
Oh Lord, no! You have like this weird, this like weird. You have like that like kind of timeless style, and I just kind of throw on like I try to look classy. Like if you like see like any picture of me like at all like on my phone, it's just me trying to look classy. I
Your
got this.
overcoat.
The over. Yeah, I have an overcoat. Yes, which you probably have
Ah,
log.
Yeah,
I made
see, I am Asian, so we notoriously are immortal and we don't age.
a.
Very hard to tell whether or not my mom is my mom or my sister.
I think that my generation isn't aging because we were fed so many preservatives when we were growing up and canned foods and frozen foods. I think that we're just full of like formaldehyde and stuff. That's what I because it's not like we're all running out and getting plastic surgery. Actually, most of us are like, we don't give a insert F word here. That's literally our rally cry is we just don't have any of those left to
Yeah.
give.
They do say
Yeah.
that you
Not a
are what
single
you
one.
eat.
Yeah.
If you are what you eat, then I only want to be eating the good stuff.
Well,
Yes,
if I am what I eat, then I am like smoothies and chicken breast and tuna.
Not a bad
Because
thing
I'm
to
working,
be.
I'm trying to do this high fiber diet. Just so you kids know, aging, aging might seem like it sucks, but it's a blessing.
I'm not scared of. I'm not
It's
scared of
the
getting.
alternative. Don't,
I'm not
don't be.
scared.
I mean,
Of,
but enjoy your energy, your health, and your joints
yeah.
in your
Oh.
body while they're not bothering you every second of every
Noted.
day.
Duly noted. Yes. Of course. Now.
Some more great advice from this old lady right here.
Oh God. Yep. If it makes you feel better, my father went gray at like 33.
None of it bothers me. That's the thing. See, I am grateful every day that I wake up. Not that every day is easy. Most days are not easy. I'm just over a year into my journey of mine, of my many doors behind a brick wall, behind a cinder block wall, of my memories from my time in the troubled teen industry programs. Um, and I apologize for any
Hey, no.
belches that I have digestive problems
It's all
that
no.
that cause this to happen. So that comes from me being nervous and full of anxiety for my whole life.
I've been diagnosed with anxiety. I get that like kind of like that weird nervous feeling all the time. I get like there are times randomly where like a weird twitch kind of builds up and I just kind of go like that.
Yeah, people
But
are
like
like, "What are you so anxious about?" Nothing. It just happens.
That's the
yeah,
problem.
can't
Yeah.
describe your anxiety to like
No,
anybody
and when people ask you to describe your anxiety, you end up having a panic attack
unless you
because they
really
won't let it go, and you're like, "I don't want to talk about it. I'm just trying to get through it."
unless you're confident enough with like knowing what it is, which I had to learn how to do when I was in my freshman year of high school, which
Right.
was definitely hard, but I managed it.
Now, you guys are both like adults, yeah? Or
Getting
No.
are you in high school?
Yeah,
I
that, yeah.
I'm close to I'm almost an adult.
Okay.
So yeah, we're like, but
He's
we've seen a lot.
much closer than I am.
I am. We've seen a lot in our time, though.
I'm sorry.
Hey, all good. No, like,
I'm sorry, but my biggest advice to the two of you is that whatever is causing you to go down this path and take this journey, I think it's beautiful, but I want you both to learn these lessons too, because when you're more, I think school should be completely different than it is. You shouldn't be taught just to be a good worker bee and do your thing for 40 years and then retire, right?
Yeah.
Or never retire, which by the time you're old, that's how it's going to be.
yeah,
Um, but but use these as lessons on how to best combat like anxiety or difficult relationships or things that are going to come up in your life, that you're prepared to handle them so they don't take you to your knees all the time. Stuff is still going to take you to your knees. Doesn't matter what I say to you. But but this is a really great journey for you two to be on, because you you can help also other people your age understand what people have gone through, and it just saved you all a bunch of time. And then people like me didn't go through decades of garbage for
Definitely.
no,
Yeah.
because I don't have kids, so I consider myself a universal mother. I just collect kids, you know,
you're like that.
and
You're like that
and I
one guy.
do this kind of stuff. I
You're,
turn what's
like
an
that. You're that
interview
one guy.
into I
That one.
turned this right around on you guys. So I'm gonna give you the control back.
It's okay. My last point before we go back. You're like that one guy, like Rob Keys, I think is his name. Dad of YouTube. Dad, how do I dot 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 that whole channel?
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know if you've
Uh,
heard of it.
you're gonna have to send me that because I have no idea what you're
It
talking.
was it's he has like this channel, and it's all about teaching you basic life skills, like if you didn't have a dad or like absent to your dad. It's
Yep.
really interesting.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love. Maybe I'll do like a series on that kind of stuff on my channel as well.
Mom, how do I?
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
god. Yeah,
Momming with Jen.
that's
That's
a
catchy.
that is catchy. All right.
I take all the strays and the throwaways, and every kid that's othered, that their family's like, we don't understand you, go away. Well, Mama Jen's got you.
Right now, back to the story. So,
Back to the story.
family week.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Ugh.
So yeah, family week was torturous. The letter from my stepmother did contain the false facts that I was the reason for my their divorce. It wasn't true, nor was it fair. My dad later said something to me about it, but
Mm-hmm.
so at that point, I'm 15, and I believe that I've now ruined two marriages, and I'm literally just turned 15 that week. I'm like, man, I'm already not good at marriage, so I'm never gonna do that.
That one
And
song.
I have not, still going strong.
Nope.
Haven't been able to have a healthy relationship yet in my life, and just broke up with every guy I've ever been with.
All right. Well, you'll get
Relationships are
there.
overrated. Honestly, it's not for everyone.
Yep. I know.
Whatever happens, happens. I'm good with or without someone.
That's like really the best thing that you could be. I mean, speaking from an asexual, I can talk, but you know.
No.
You can, though. It's okay.
Everyone has a voice, regardless of whether or not you are asexual or a romantic. Which I am neither. I am just straight up a heterosexual male. So
I am though.
Yep, you are. You're so special. You're very special. I'm not being sarcastic. You are.
I'm incredibly boring too. I am a middle aged. I mean, if I'm middle aged, then that means I'm going to live to be 108, which is fantastic. That's fine by me.
100.
Um,
Hey,
yeah, well, I'm going to be
Johnny!
54 in June, so um,
Not too far away. Not too far.
yeah, I'm just an old cis hetero boring woman.
Whatever you want to call it. Yes.
Right. Well, no, I covered everything.
Yeah, you
I'm
covered.
jealous. I'm jealous. I'm actually really disappointed that I didn't I that I didn't like I'm not and have not been bi ever in my life.
My
I
ceiling
think
is
that'd be
leaking for some
fantastic because
reason.
I
That
think
is
women are
not
amazing.
good.
Why not start now? No.
Because I don't want to be selfish.
Oh.
Don't make me say things to you, child.
I won't. I won't.
I'm you know, I prefer to be appropriate with the kids here.
I was just playing. I was just playing.
No, no, me too. Me too.
I know.
And people that are listening that can't see our faces, like we're totally kidding around here.
We're just messing around. We're just
Yep.
just some playful banter. Doesn't hurt anybody.
Just some playful banter to make the difficult conversation a little bit easier for everybody.
Just a light. Just yeah. So you got that letter,
Mhm. And I
and
had to read it out. I had to read it out loud, and it was the
in
first
front of
time I
a
was reading. It. Yeah, and it was the first time I was reading it, and I was just like, "You're the reason that we're getting divorced. I'm the reason you're getting divorced." Like I looked at my dad and was like,
oh,
"What is? Why is she saying this? Like, really? I can't possibly be the only reason you guys." And if that's the case, and I said even if that's the case, then you should have let me go live with mom last year.
exactly. There's like
That didn't go over very well either.
that sure worked. Well,
But I can try.
yeah.
They're about to dying, so I'm gonna have to change my audio while we're going.
Yeah. So how long were you in this first like thing? This first
So the first program,
program.
the
Program
first program I was in Fairview Deaconess Hospital was 28 days.
20 days, like less than a month.
Yep, yep.
Less
That's how it used to be. Yes. And that's where we're headed next because I failed the first program because I didn't complete the steps because I wasn't an addict.
you never were.
Not till later.
Um,
Uh, I had a couple stints of addiction later. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
we'll get.
They turn you into the thing that you hate the most, right? Yeah,
We'll,
they taught me all about drugs and how they can numb all the pain. So when I got out of the places and went and lived with my grandma, I tried all kinds of stuff.
yeah,
In the end, by the time I was 17, I tried everything and overdosed and only am sitting here out of my own sheer will to stay alive because no one would take my runaway teenage butt to the hospital.
mm,
So that made my anxiety and panic even more fun at 17. Best thing that ever happened to me though.
you you got
'Cause I
out,
would have, yeah, I would have absolutely become an addict and died probably pretty quickly. Yeah.
which is painful to hear. This the second time I've heard in one of these interviews of the story of a story of like I got to get out of this. This is too much. But the motivation to keep going
Yeah,
kept.
that comes, that, it just, yeah, I wonder where that, you know, for me, I obviously can only speak for me. The reason that I never, I mean, I self harmed, and I include alcohol and drugs in that during my teenage years. Um, but the reason that I never tried to just stop life, was because I endured a lot for a very, very long time. And my mentality has always been, I'm not just here for all of this really bad stuff and then I'm just gonna be like, I'm out. No, 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 no. I want as many. I used to say I want more good years than I had bad years. Then it became I want to have as many good years as I've had bad years. And now it's I want to have as many good years as I can. The older you get, you kind of have to modify
Yeah,
that goal. You
it's a
know,
work in progress statement, if you don't mind
yeah, no,
putting
everybody's a work. No, everybody's a work in progress. Yeah,
every not every just not just everybody, everything,
yes.
everywhere,
Mhm.
every which way.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I point this out. I'm gonna point this out to you because I pointed it out to. I wear this bracelet because I too myself had thoughts of harming myself.
Okay.
It was like complete because I was in like a very rough spot, but I like had to remind myself, like, hey, people care about you, man. Don't be stupid. So around June of 2023, I put this on, and I've never thought of this kind of stuff again. Which is one of the reasons why I became an activist for teens who are the troubled teen industry, children who are exploited, children who are neglected, children who are abused,
Mhm.
because I don't want them, I don't want future generations to suffer just the way they have suffered, just the way I've had to suffer in regards to like my mental health being like so shaky.
Mhm.
I put this on and I started this podcast, and I'm going to start working with Breaking Code Silence.
Yeah.
Unsilenced.
And yeah, they're technically different foundations.
Unsilenced. Yeah, I'm going to start.
Oh, they don't. Well, yeah.
Well, then
They,
I will be working. I can volunteer for Breaking Code Silence in a matter of months, though. Sorry. Because I'm going to be a major. Sorry.
well, then you can like myself, you can cross, you know, advocate. I mean, we're all, both both organizations are fighting for the same thing, and they're not fighting each other, which is fantastic. I'm watching other advocacy groups kind of like implode within themselves, like um there's a anti Scientology activism network out there. It's they're called SPTV, like people like creators on YouTube, and they've been doing protests outside Scientology buildings, and they are infighting so bad. I'm embarrassed.
Sorry, Tom Cruise.
Oh,
We don't
that
need to get
guy.
that. We don't need to get into that guy, but yeah.
No,
Sorry.
no.
All right. Now, I have a few more
Tom
questions.
Cruise thinks he's a billion years old. So
Yeah. I do have a few more questions before we you
no
know,
problem.
like do some things. After you got out by 88, what was your escape? What made you feel better? What made you like what would like I would imagine that it took a toll on you. You resorted to drugs and all that stuff. What made you feel relief? Like, was there a movie or a TV show you watched? Other friends you've implied. Did that kind of save you from like going nuts per se?
Music.
Music. All right,
Music.
music. Yeah.
Um, well, oh gosh. So we'll say classic 60s and 70s rock and hard rock and
Yes.
heavy metal, like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, that kind of
Yes.
just, and yeah, and okay, I admit I fell into the hair band stuff in the 80s, but mm, I was more into the rough and tumble of those bands, like not the Poison and Warren and Bon Jovi, not the nice boys, like
Punch.
the Guns
Nice.
N' Roses and Motley Crue and like punk music. Punk rock was another thing that I really, there's a band called Suicidal Tendencies, and they have a song called Institutionalized, and I highly suggest that both of you listen to it because that song is 100%. When I heard that song as a teenager, I was like, this is what I'm living through. And back then that didn't happen. That didn't start happening until the early 90s when the bands from Seattle came out and they started talking about their feelings. The blessing that you guys have in your generation, you all have in your generation, is that talking or even having names for issues is a huge step. Things that we didn't have, but also not being ashamed to say, listen, I'm feeling really uncomfortable, or I'm feeling triggered, or I don't, I didn't, we didn't have any of that. We were still in the children, they're meant to be seen and not heard, and you know your place. And I mean, and then some parents just didn't care. But living with my grandma, she was older, right?
Yeah.
She was in she was born in the late 20s, so she's a depression baby. And yeah, it was a totally different time. And there were good things about when I grew up, like obviously the culture and the entertainment, movies, TV, music, everything was so amazing. I really don't think that I would have been wanted to have been born in a different time culturally, right? But um tough love, all that garbage, you know, uh talk shows and talk show hosts, and the rise of the rehabs, and just it was just and we had HIV AIDS, like, and I realized that everyone in the world had a shared trauma in COVID-19, but this is not my first pandemic. Okay. I
Didn't
was
you
12 years old. I was 12 years old when it was just an epidemic, but I was 12 years old when it became like HIV/AIDS became a thing. So, this is our second.
lived through the
Yeah.
swine flu epidemic too? Don't forget that.
I couldn't forget it because I had it.
Oh, you
I had it. I used to work Warp Tour, and the guys from Alien Ant Farm got it and spread it to everybody.
you
I
worked
ended up
for
in the
Alien
hos-
Ant Farm?
No, I worked for Kevin Lyman, who ran Warp Tour. They
Okay.
just happened to be one of the bands that was on tour that year, but one of them got sick, and then 44 of us total got sick.
Yep. Yep. We had that.
And that was 2009, I believe.
I was
So,
2 going on 3 when that hit. That was also that's the reason why this is for like general audiences. I'm old. I'm getting old myself. Yes, I
um,
can.
so
100
you were born in 2005?
2006.
Okay. Don't say the word old to me.
I'm getting older. I'm getting older. How about that? Is that better?
It's a blessing.
I'm maturing. All right. The
Hey, that's a big deal for
yeah. The swine flu epidemic was the reason why the pigs in Angry Birds are green. Yes.
Where did you hear that? That's hilarious.
It's like, seriously, look it up. And I learned that in the history of the Angry Birds franchise, which I watched like many
History of
years
the
ago.
Angry Birds. Wow. All of these
Yeah,
things I don't know exist. I feel like you're letting me into the secret club honorarily, and I'm really proud of that.
welcome to the Gen Z pop culture club.
Well, to be fair, my 15-year-old niece is also Gen Z and one of my best friends. So I have a very wonderful relationship with my niece.
Your niece, I'm assuming that is a child of one of yours.
My
Half
sister,
your
my
sister.
sister. Mhm, mhm. My sister was born in 1984. She just turned 40 last month.
Okay.
Mhm.
Early.
Yep, and my niece was born in 2000. Oh, you're leaving?
We'll go on for like, I think we'll go on for like 5-10 more minutes. All right. Well, you know
Yeah, we
what?
haven't even gotten into my second program. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, yeah. So, unfortunately, we grossly underestimated this. So, this is this will be either a two-parter, or it could be a trilogy. This is
I,
one of.
I do apologize, everybody.
All right.
I'm
This is
keeping the
part.
kids up past their dinner time.
This will be part one of the uh, the Jen saga. I don't know what I'm gonna call this episode.
The story of me.
The story of me, the story of Jen. Well, it's
Yeah.
probably just gonna be Jen's story, but it might. But since it's like this is gonna be a saga.
Just pay attention to the sign above my left shoulder. And then the one above my head.
Sarcasm welcomed, and I can't adult today.
And does anybody know who this person is?
This Ruth Bader Ginsburg with a
Good job.
the
Good job. Does anybody know who this person is?
Dr. Frankenfurter. It looks like him.
Good
Tim.
job.
I am a pop
So
culture boy.
proud.
So
So proud.
I will leave links in the description below so you can follow Jen on YouTube and on Instagram and on all the socials. And also, I'll do what I usually do, which is putting in the links for those of you who need help. So that's all we have for you today on part one of Jen's story. I don't know when we'll follow up on this, but it'll be sooner rather than later. So thanks very much for tuning in. I've been Colin Silber. Ace has been Ace. Jen has been Jen. And we'll see all of you very, very soon. Take care, folks. All right, we're off.
Okay. Wow.
We're doing this.
I do apologize for going all over the place. I hope that that's okay for
No,
you all and your audiences.
no worries. We have a big we have a big story to tell, and I'm super excited to hear the rest of it. Eventually, we will be in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We will reach out. Ace and I are have a few more interviews we're gonna do, but I will shoot you a text, and we'll email you more of this, more details. So we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I will make sure that this link is given to you once the video is up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then as soon as I plug my dead phone in, I will text in our group text um my YouTube, my Insta,
I think I am subscribed
what
to
else?
your YouTube channel.
To the Between the Cracks channel.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I clicked on the link and I went to it. So I think
Okay. And then I'm Gypsy Gen X with two N's in the
Yeah.
Gen on Instagram.
Yes, I got that. Now I'll make sure
Oh,
you
okay. Awesome.
tags. So we will be in touch, and we will get you on the show again very very soon.
Definitely.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
just
looking
remember that
forward to it.
you guys are gonna save the world.
Well, we'll
With your
do our
help.
we'll do our best.
Yes, with my guidance.
We
with,
have
with my guidance and all the elders that you're gonna be
yeah we're gonna do our best.
Yeah.
We're gonna make an effort.
for to take
Oh,
care of you all first.
all right. So thank you for your time. You get some rest.
Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, it's definitely very late for you.
It's
You,
late and I have this stupid cold, but so I'm just grateful that we were able to do this tonight. I felt really bad about last night, but
it's
It's
okay.
okay.
Some
I'm so worth the wait.
things happen. Worth the wait. Definitely. We'll be in touch. Thank you very
All
much.
right, youngins, thank you. Have a good night.
You
You
too.
too. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so let's see. Before I end. Who are you? Before I end, who is live? Oh, I see. That's who you are. I think Blossom is. Oh, Blossom, soft taco. Stew, soft taco. We love soft tacos here. We soft taco X. Perfect. This was really great tonight. I don't know when the next one will be with Jenn. We have a few more lined up. I believe we have Coil, we have Lily. I'm gonna try and get in touch with Arden, and I'm hoping to do more of this because this is really just incredible. So, why don't you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm gonna send you off to soft tacos. Goodbye, send some love.